We are recording. Welcome to the PLC. I guess we did not get our speaker installed.
I fixed it. I fixed it.
So, this is really cool that we get to meet like this. Be
Yeah,
the best
I agree.
PLC
We are the best PLC.
in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
But let's go to our agenda.
Okay.
And once again, we have our norms. We're starting on time.
Yes.
Well, almost. It's hard to get here at 10:20.
It is.
But we did our best. And then be prepared. We respect each
Absolutely.
other. And then, yeah, we just gotta do this right now. Be better.
Yeah. Let's go.
So we're gonna review the standards.
Yep.
So in order to review the standards, what I did was I went and I made a link to. Can you see the change there?
Hold up.
In the page. Did the page just change or no?
The page is tiny. I don't know why the page is. Oh, I swapped it. Okay, I can now see it. Excellent. Yes, I see the change in the page.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the resources.
Yep.
And what we saw was review standards.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to. We didn't have a lot of time to spend here, but we have
Right.
some, so let's use it.
Mm-hmm.
I put on the link for the test item spec.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once again, I just wanted to kind of where we were last year.
Right.
We kind of focused on it's right here at the beginning of this document, this blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
And so we highlighted certain standards from these physical sciences that
Can't
we
believe
said
it
we
was-
were going to focus on.
I believe it
And
was all the ones in level 1
it is
and a couple of the others.
And I have this recorded, can't see it here, but it's 1.1, 1-2, 1-5, 1-7, and then 3-3, 3-4,
Mm-hmm.
and 4-1.
Right. All those are
So, and since
chemistry.
you're the physics teacher as
I'm
well,
hitting the others.
if
And
you want
a couple of
to, or if you want to look at this document, it's 2.5, 3.1, 3.2, and 4.4 are only physics.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so look at those.
Yep.
And you might want to know that for physics and
Yes.
define your standards.
Yes, sir.
All right. So yes, sir. Yeah, appreciate that.
I am so professional. I'm professional out the wazoo, man. I've got it. Let's go.
Oh, and I see that's true from the sign on the back of your laptop.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, so I think we're going to stick with that. But what we discussed in our last meeting is that now that we have a lab, there's some skills that our students don't have
Mm-hmm.
that we need to get.
Absolutely.
Those skills. And
Absolutely.
so we're going to start with Unit 0, and so we may be a little bit ahead on the schedule. We didn't take 10 minutes there, but we'll kind of come back and forth to this anyway.
Well, and it's very important that we understand what it is that we're teaching for the entire year.
That's right.
But this is a discussion we had last year at length.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
we're just kind of reviewing it, recapping.
That's a very good point. Okay, so then to go back to that, what I did in preparing for this is I made a learning scale. Now, this does not mean this is the one we're using. This is just a
It's an
graph.
example. Uh-huh.
So can you see that? Just
Yep.
fine?
Yep.
Okay, so on the draft,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to see that I don't have a lot in 3.0.
Yeah.
And that's because of a change. I guess in kind of the philosophy in which I write these things,
Mhm.
but that change was not my own change. It was
Right.
based on Marzano.
Yeah.
So
You read the Marzano book over the summer,
Yeah.
and you realized, okay,
So-
you change level 3.
so one of the things, and I still have more to learn on this, but
Mhm.
one of the things I gained from that was that where we're going to have direct instruction, you're going to use direct instruction around foundational skills.
Mhm.
And that's going to center around processes and definitions and things like that. And so that's why some things I probably would have put in 3.0 previously.
Right.
But based on that, I can't do that because when we say 3.0, what we have to do is we as teachers have to be hands off there.
Right.
And
The
so
students are leading
the students are
to a certain extent.
that automatically increases the level of rigor just through autonomy alone.
Yes.
But they should be using the information that they got in the foundational skills to
achieve
what they need to in part 3. So I just want to hold fast to that idea. It's not necessarily easy to accomplish, but it's never going to be accomplished if we don't try.
Right.
So, and we're attempting this because we're the best.
Absolutely.
So
we're not just going to attempt it, man. We're going to do it.
Even if it's self-proclaimed.
That's right.
So, and it is.
Absolutely.
So, and if you look at 4.0, I didn't see, okay, first of all, let's go back to 3.0. I was looking at, so we said this was over safety and scientific measurement. Now, I did not put safety in here. If we're going to make this very technical, I need to add the safety component to the scale. One thing that
it's very difficult. Sorry to interrupt. It's very difficult to put safety in a learning scale because, especially when it's process-based, because it's like the student didn't burn down the school. I mean, it's
yeah, it could be a foundational skill. It's not. It never get to a 3.0.
Right.
It's not.
But it's just the students know not to stick their fingers into electrical sockets.
Yeah, but it's an important.
Yeah, they have to know that.
We're going to put it in our unit. We just need to have some standards there. And obviously, we did not. At this point, we have not communicated a learning skill under safety to our student.
Right.
But it's not bad if we go ahead and do that, and then next year we start off that way. But yeah, like I'm not going to beat myself up over it. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, you just said it was a draft, so we're still working on it.
So the other part is, I was looking through some things for measurement, and so I put at the bottom over here possible targets.
Okay.
So I just wanted to see kind of like what you thought there.
Okay.
And I think these are all good.
Yeah, they are.
Scientific notation, units of measurement, significant figures, dimensional analysis, temperature, density, all that good stuff. And yeah, I can't see there's a weakness in there. Maybe there's something that we need to add.
Yeah,
but
just adding stuff. I don't think there's anything that's like misplaced. I don't think there's anything that's especially, poorly worded or anything like that. There's nothing that just jumps out at you and says, no, that's wrong.
Yeah, that's right. So we go through these, and basically I wrote like expressions, measurements, and scientific notation. I mean, standard and scientific notation, right? So if I have a number in scientific notation, they can express it in standard notation. If I have it in standard notation, they can express it in scientific notation.
Right. They need to be able to trade back and forth.
Right. And then expresses measurements using the appropriate unit in both dimension and scale. So we have mass, but if I was going to describe the mass of a penny, I might use gram, but I would not use gram to say how much do I weigh.
Right.
So
what is the mass of the earth? If you measure that in grams, that's inappropriate.
We're looking at scale.
Right.
So dimension, obviously I need to be in the right dimension, a unit of mass,
right?
Not length or something else. So all those are good. I did put energy in there. I'm kind of torn on it. We discussed that on our last meeting.
Yeah, we did.
There's a part of me that says I think we can introduce it as a unit of measurement.
Yeah.
But we don't have to go like a whole thermodynamic unit to introduce it. If that makes sense.
Just have the concept that a joule is
that's right.
energy. Well, I mean, as long as you've introduced that, because again, this is a formative. I mean, this is foundational. This is for the entire course.
Yeah, that's right.
So that way, when you start saying joule, the kids are like, "Why is he talking about his joules?" It's like they know joule is a unit of measurement for energy.
I like how you put that in there. That was good. Okay, so
professional, man.
It was very good. Are they talking about that? Okay, so that's pretty good. that brings me to point number 2 on under 3.0. That's why I brought up energy. And that I thought maybe we could use that, but I understand specific heat capacity is also another concept outside of just direct energy.
Right.
But it is nice to know, like, a substance, you can identify a substance by specific heat capacity. And really all we're looking at is, Q equals mass times specific heat capacity times the change in temperature. That kind of formula, and then just rearranging it. Now, that I said that sounds simple, but that is also algebra.
Yeah.
And algebra is not easy to. Let's say they should know it.
Yeah.
But they don't.
I would possibly refine this number 2 just by saying perform a laboratory experiment to utilize a scientific equation in general, and then in parentheses, such as, and say what you've got.
Well, I was thinking we just have them do a lab.
Right, but what I'm saying is utilize a lab experiment, a lab experiment to, I'm trying to think how to say it, to basically reinforce a mathematical expression in science.
Well, I think this I understand what you're saying, but I think it's getting to the heart of it. It's like what needs to be done is what's written. So, like, if let's say I give you 3 different metals.
Right.
All right. And you take the specific heat capacity of each of those, and then you go to a data table and you say, well, this metal A most closely matches the specific heat capacity of aluminum.
Okay.
Then what are you doing? Exactly what you just said.
Right. So what's okay? I'm just thinking of how to. Okay, my issue with number 2, and it's a quibble. I'm quibbling, but in general, students need to be able to identify an object using a laboratory experiment.
That's right.
Right. That's generally what we're trying to do. The unknown metal, by determining specific heat capacity, is the specific example that we're using. That's not the end all be all of identifying something.
No. But that's what their task is.
Right. So that's what we're going to have them do.
Yeah. If we teach them a concept of energy and a few formulas associated with it.
Right.
How do we? A joule per gram degree Celsius.
Right.
What does that involve? It involves the unit of energy.
Right.
It involves the unit of mass.
Right.
It involves the unit of temperature.
Right.
It's a derived unit.
Right.
So what happens is we're using all of them
Right.
in specific heat capacity. That's why I think it's okay to introduce specific heat capacity. Because
No. I have no issue with specific heat capacity. I think specific heat capacity works in this instance exactly. What I'm saying is, when you're getting into the why are we doing this experiment, we are doing this for the overall general concept before we do any other kind of experiments, to say you can use an experiment in order to identify something.
Okay.
And so what exactly are we identifying, what experiment are we doing, is a choice that we made. But the thing we're after is using an experiment in order to identify an object. I
understand, but it has to be very specific.
Right, and it is very specific here.
Yeah.
Right, because this is what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, because if our target is just to identify metal, and using some kind of science, then we open scientific experiment. Then what we've done is we've opened a bag of worms and saying, well, you can do this any way you want, and we're trying to be a little more pointed.
Right.
Because yes, there are other ways, but we're kind of teaching under this framework.
Okay.
So that's why I think
again, I'm quibbling. I'm minutiae.
Yeah, you're going to turn a quibble into a kerfuffle.
All right.
Let's not turn it. No, I'm just kidding. There's no kerfuffle. I just like that word.
Oh, that's a good word.
You said quibble, and I said I have to put kerfuffle.
You have to one up it because we are the best PLC.
Yeah, because we're the best PLC.
Right.
So what did we do? We just resolved conflict through respect.
We did, absolutely.
Yes.
Man, we are on our norms.
Yeah, we are. We're
standard.
Okay, gold standard. So do you understand? I think we're on the same page.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not.
This is great. I have no complaints.
Actually, I'm not married to any of that language.
Right.
I'm not defending it to like oh my gosh,
Mm.
you can't change it. That's not where I'm going. I'm just thinking, I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. And I really like,
we're both going to be doing the same thing.
I really like how when we incorporate that, we're incorporating multiple units.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with density.
Yep. It's
we're getting,
with any kind of derivative.
Yeah.
It's going to be off of those units that you've listed.
Yeah. And then we're also hitting up some math skills that way, and helping our math brethren.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
I
told the students day one, it's like, if you've ever asked, why am I in math class?
Yeah.
Congratulations. I am the reason you were in math class.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I think we're definitely doing what we need to do on that. I like all the, there's not another unit you can think of. I couldn't think of anymore. I went through a text.
There's, I know there's a list of like all of the units. There's a couple that you didn't list, but we're not going to be using them. Lumens.
We're not going to use.
There's a couple.
Also, on a practical matter, we can't measure.
Yeah. Right.
That's the other part. If we had a way of measuring lumens, I may have introduced it, but how are we going to do that?
Yeah. Well, let's look brighter than that one. Yeah, but how many lumens?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Okay, well, here's what lumens are. Yeah, but how do I measure it?
Check the light bulb, and what does it say? There you go. That's how I measure lumens.
That's right there on the package.
On the package. Well, I don't need to measure it. It's 800 lumens.
Yeah. Obvious. Right. Come on.
Just duh. That's a 60-watt bulb.
Right.
I have no idea. Somewhere close to that, though.
Right.
All right. Very good. We're on page there.
Yes, sir.
One thing that we did not do last year, and this is a skill that most certainly needs to be, they need to have for college.
Yeah. Okay. That is college math class or science class.
Scientific significant figures, but that is. There's more to the heart of that, and that's why I wrote this way. Expresses measurements using the correct number of significant figures to indicate the uncertainty of a measurement.
Yep.
So the uncertainty component, that's actually a very difficult concept to teach.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult concept for them to learn.
Interesting for us to get that, but
it's actually
very useful to them.
It's actually more difficult for them to learn than it is for us to teach. It's pretty easy. They don't learn it very well. So I know one thing that's going to help is going to the lab. And utilizing that, and then we discussed using the POGL activity for multiple things.
I love that so much because it's so student centered. So great.
Yeah. So we'll end up doing that, and obviously that's a skill that will be used in 3.0 when they are showing their calculations. They have to use the right significant figures based on what they have done.
Okay. If we list that, is that going to be something extra or is that going to be part of another lesson? So if we listed students use correct significant figures in their calculations or in their measurements,
that will be part of their lab.
Would that be level 3 or would that be level 2?
No, it's a level 2. It's a foundational skill that is going. It's inherently built into 3. It doesn't have to be stated.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah,
you have to state because they're going to be doing it. It's going to be a level 3.
It's the same thing. It's like lab safety.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have to put lab safety in here. It's inherent that if they're doing a lab, they're going to have to have lab safety.
Right. Because we don't need anybody set on fire. Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
So, and a lot of them work that way. Mm-hmm. It's not just necessarily like, oh, well, you have it in 2. You need to see the same thing in 3. A lot of the times, what you put in 3. Because it's so necessary to accomplish 3, it doesn't have to be mentioned because it's a component of it.
It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's understood.
It's understood.
You have to do it. We're not listening to any of this as in English. It's understood.
Yeah, it's understood. That's right. So there's that, and then there was one other thing under significant figures that I was going to mention. Okay. Of course, when we're doing derived units, we have multiple instruments of measurement.
Yes.
That measure different dimensions,
different degrees of accuracy,
and they have different degrees of accuracy. So you're automatically going to precision, accuracy. They're very related, but the thing is then do we add onto this how to do calculations with significant figures? And
I kind of feel like you have to, because I mean, if I have something that has 2 significant figures, something has 8 significant figures, I need to know.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Well, there's different rules for adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing.
Right.
And obviously they're going to be mostly multiplying and dividing.
Right.
So I think it's probably we'll embed, because all this says under 3 is express.
Mm-hmm.
So what we can do is then add a little bullet point underneath it that's, or make it 4. I don't care either way. Probably underneath it will add.
That would go underneath it. Yeah.
Yeah. Add/subtract. That way in the scale, it's the same rule for that. And then multiply and divide has the same rule. And there's no need to put add, subtract, multiply, and divide.
Right. Because
the scale will then kind of give a clue like, oh, these 2 rules are the same and these 2 rules are the same. And that's no tricks.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, this should be something that helps the students study for what we're going to be giving them. And so this needs to be functional for the students.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that would assist. And I'm always a fan of assisting the students to learn on their own.
Excellent. I like it. And then number 4, use and develop conversion factors. So we can use, meaning that they'll be supplied for them, or they have to develop. Now, where are they going to develop a conversion factor? Derived units.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If I give them mass and I give them volume and I say find the density, and they're like, yeah, I'm not developing it.
Yeah, that's right. So they can use the conversion factor to do that, or they can use that. They can use the density as to convert from volume to mass.
Right.
Mass
exactly. Yes.
And that's also algebra.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have to teach it as algebra if we teach it as dimensional analysis.
Right.
Which is what our goal is, because it says to use conversion factors. It's not say rearrange an equation to solve for an unknown variable.
Right.
We could do that. I'm not opposed to it, but it's not for what we want to do in this class, where we want to go with using dimensional analysis in balanced equations later on. We need them familiar with how to use conversion factors and how to develop those conversion factors.
Yeah.
So that's the skill that we need, even though they probably could use help in algebra. Yeah. It's not necessarily going to help us with the skill that we need to build in them for future. So, okay. So there's always that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else.
So dimensional analysis, is it specifically mentioned? You said it was not.
It is. It's not by name, because it says develop a conversion factor to convert between scale and or dimension in measurements.
Okay.
So when I say scale, can you take centimeters to meters?
Turn to meters.
Okay, so it's in the same dimension, but it's not on the same scale. Can you go from like we just said, from mass to volume using density?
So it includes all of that. Okay.
Yeah, you have to be kind of like a wordsmith to make sure you incorporate.
Yeah, I'm very wordy, so I use more words than is necessary. I need your poetry skills to get this done.
Yeah. So no, we're a team.
Yes, sir.
The best team. Okay,
we are the best team.
We get along. Make sure I put that in the camera. No one's watching this anyway. Just get real.
Doesn't matter.
So,
all right.
Okay, so we put all those things in. If you think of anything else that we can add, we will add the addition, subtraction.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'll make sure I make the edit. I could do it right now, but I'll do it in a minute.
Okay.
Let's go back to our agenda and make sure we're following everything.
Yes, sir.
Because I think. Oh wait, before we go back, in 3 we're using density to identify an unknown metal, and we're going to use the specific heat capacity to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I'm telling you, this could be a nail from Lowe's. What's it made up of?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
So it's not only unknown for the students; it's unknown for the teacher.
No, we know. We always know.
So we know because we've looked it up, or we know because
it tells you. It tells you when you buy it.
Okay. That's boring.
Stuff is zinc.
That's boring. All right.
It's probably some alloy. is what the real.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Is it's going to be an alloy of something.
Yeah. But so in both of those ways, they're either density or specific heat capacity. They're using multiple units, and they're using multiple dimensions to identify something, and we'll help them out with that. But what we have to be hands off on is we can't once we move from 2.0 to 3.0.
They've got to be the ones.
You're the one doing it.
And they ask me, well, what is? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Like lucky thing is that we have our notes.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to use that information, and you have your lab partners. But that's how we're going to get.
Yeah.
That's how we're going
to
to
get to level 3.
That's how we're going to get to level 3.
When they start asking you, and you're like,
because that's what our test is going to do to them.
Is it in your notes?
Well, I mean, it's what our test is going to do to them. Yeah. It's not going to be any different.
Yeah. This is another form of test.
This is another. Yes, sorry. It's not direct instruction. You're learning.
Right.
This is the learning component, but that's what it mirrors our test. It has the same idea, but it's not like I'm not teaching you a process here. I already gave you the information you need. Now you're going to use that information to achieve your goal there.
It serves the same function. It's just higher rigor.
It's higher rigor. Yeah. Yeah. We're killing it.
We are.
So this is going to take a little while, but I think this is going to pay off big.
I agree 100%.
We can shrink some other units because these foundational skills are like so strong. Yeah. And really, I mean, if they don't understand these units, taking an ACT and trying to interpret data from something, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
So
we have a creek without a paddle, trying to give them a paddle here.
Yeah. So we went through those, and then at 4.0, I didn't necessarily mean that they're going to perform an experiment, because I didn't say that. I said design.
Yep.
So what they can do if somebody wants to take it to the next level, is say, look, I want you to do some research, and I want you to design an experiment where you can use some type of scientific measurement to identify an
Yeah.
So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you had, like, I mean, you want to get, like, there's all kinds of them. Like you can take an alloy like brass, and you can figure out how much copper is. You can do the research to figure out how to do that. If we have a student that wants to do that, I call them 4.0.
Absolutely.
And that is really that's going to take them outside of measurements that we listed.
Right.
But it is definitely more rigor.
Completely related to this. It's more rigorous, and it's one of my favorite things as a teacher. It's if the student's learning, get out of their way.
Yeah, and we really and this has like been a big deal like on my mind lately is that we really have to meet students where they meet their needs.
Yes.
So
needs. We talked about that the other day.
Yeah. So many things we'll look at trying to get you to 3.0. And you're not part of that 80%. We're always worried about bringing this group up, but there's a group here that's sitting stagnant at 3.0 that needs to move up. They have a need too.
Yeah.
We have to be sensitive to their need. And when we hit both sides of that target, we bring the whole group up.
Yep.
If we only hit one side of that target, we're only bringing half of our group up.
Yep.
Or even smaller.
Yep. No, I mean, you're preaching to the choir.
We have to do that. Well, just in case someone,
Oh, right. Sorry. Yes, I agree completely, Mr. Schmidt. You are correct.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but we did discuss that. Oh, my internet connection is unstable. That is not good.
That's awesome.
Oh, no.
I love unstable
internet. Unstable. Okay, so let's go back to I said that a minute ago, but it's okay. We are back to August 14th.
Yes, sir.
We need to work on our lesson plan then. So obviously we're going to run out of time here, but I did put in under the PLC, as you can see, the lesson plan and what we need to do there. I need to update that scale.
Yes.
And then all I'll do is add, by the way, don't pay attention to this.
Right. This is an old scale.
Well, it's an old one. We'll delete that and we'll add all our new stuff in there. And that will be great. And then we'll go from there to fill in the dates. And we've already talked about how we're going to accomplish that. So are you comfortable with what we have going on there?
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll finish that up and I'll just cut this out and I'll paste it in.
Okay.
And then you'll take care of the other part.
We'll work on actual filling in the lessons. you want me to start filling in lessons for Thursday, for Friday? I know that beginning of school year is always wacky because kids
I think we start this measurement. I don't think we're going to get it started this week because
I agree.
Friday is going to be
because Friday's a gone day. Yeah.
So
Probably Monday.
we definitely need to start Monday, and so Friday in our PLC, and we'll put it on the agenda. I think it's probably not on there.
Something's on there.
We have some things. We have Q1 specifics and assessments, which all that's important. Part of the assessments is, we have to make our assessment, and then our lessons ideally should be tied to that.
Right.
So how about this? How about I have some assessments for measurement, and why don't you take a look and see if you come up with any kind of questions or prompts that you might want to use for an assessment, and we can bring that back. But I think for lessons, in the beginning, if we go back to our concept, go back to what we were saying, 2.0, what kind of instruction are we doing?
More direct.
So what we'll have there is like some notes, and we're just going to kind of present the material as far as this is what this is. This is what is meant by this. All right. And it's not, we don't feel bad about that because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's what level 2 is.
That's what level 2 is. And we're meeting a need there for sure.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, if we don't tell them, they won't know.
Yeah, they won't know. And we can't expect them to get to 3.0 if they don't have these skills.
Yeah.
So now, that's not to say that's all we're going to say is next week is lecture. I do have stuff that we can lecture with. We can also plan for the POGL. We can also plan for, a lab activity.
Yeah.
All those good things that are not direct instruction.
Right.
Because we're going to need, before they do a lab, they're going to probably need to.
We need level 2. We need them to be solid in level 2 before we put them in.
There's a lot of direct instruction here. If you look at significant figures.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot there. It's going to take a minute.
Yeah.
But once we get there, once we get through that,
then we can refer to it the rest of it.
Then it's on them.
Yeah. So when I say, okay, time to do some dimensional analysis, they know what I mean.
Yeah. And then also they got to have something they can put in their notes to reference.
Yep.
And that's just the bottom line too.
Yeah. You can't ask someone to reference their notes if they don't have those.
Yeah. So it will take a little time to go through there. I'm not trying to say, oh, this is all that we're going to do, because that's not. I think we have bigger, more engaging plans than just like, oh, more notes.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a little bit of that because we have to set the foundation. If we don't set the foundation, we can't give them autonomy.
Right.
It's not possible.
Right. If you don't give them the tools to learn on their own, they can't learn on their own.
Yeah. And I'm not doing this out of my own thing. I've researched some stuff. So
very good.
And we've made changes based on it. So, and I think they're good changes. And we have to change scales.
Better than what we had last year.
Yeah, we have to change scales that we had last year. Most of what we did last year, actually, by that definition, is going to be foundational. And then what we have to do is we have to get a lab that more meaty. But we didn't have the resources, to do that. Now we do.
One thing that concerns me is if we're going to be judging level 3, and level 3 is student performance, basically. What the assessments are going to look like, and is it going to change how we do our assessments? Because we have assessments on level 2, we know how to do those. We've been doing those. We know how to do that. On the assessment of level 3, it's got me a little concerned is if that's going to be the lab report, which we've been talking about with the literacy focus. Is that going to be, I am witnessing them performing the lab? That's on my in my head.
Okay, the lab report in itself, or the lab, and the calculations and the write up that they do, may not be a formal one like what we're talking about for Q1.
Right.
But it is definitely a scaffold for what we want to do for Q1, because guess what? They haven't been in a lab before.
Right. So they don't know what they're doing.
So if we go in here and we say this is this and this is that, and this is a one component of a lab report. This is how you would handle this. We've created a scaffold that when we say it's time to do a formal lab report, then we don't have to address as many.
We have to go over it 5 times.
Completely new.
Yeah.
So, to that end, I think all labs, if they're going to be done on their own or in a group, I think they can be. I mean, that's an assessment.
Right. It is an assessment. Right. I have no questions to the assessment.
Whether or not, I mean, it's an assessment. Yeah, classwork, test, whatever. But if it's going to be classwork, it needs to be weighted a little more. If it's going to be an assessment, I don't know. I want to weight it so heavy because it is worth 50% of the grade.
Yep.
And then second of all, it's not necessarily measuring individual skill.
Right.
So I probably like it under classwork at a 4 times multiplier.
Right. A very large classwork grade.
Yeah. 4 or 5 times, but no smaller.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
So, all right, man. Well, so on our next meeting, we'll have some assessment ideas, and that will be great. And we go back to this.
What were you saying about Webster earlier?
I didn't say anything about Mr. Webster.
No, it was like about the way that smell that he carried.
Yeah, I think that was you. So please don't interrupt our. Aren't you supposed to be in PLC? Oh, yeah. Oh, well, yeah. You're supposed to be in PLC. Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. So we have to go over essentially 4-to-1 specifics.
Yes.
Anyway, Mr. Webster is okay. Mrs. Herzer is the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Gold standard.
Gold standard.
Yes.
So, right on there, boss.
By the way, that is the person you need to be blaming for things. So,
okay, we'll go ahead and end the meeting. It is 11:01.
Yep.
And thank you for attending.